fact, right now, I'm going to just switch here. Sven,
Yeah, hi.
let me get you in there. Glad you could make it.
Yeah, the same. Yeah,
Yeah,
good to
I
be
was
back.
thinking to myself earlier, I can't do this alone, so I'm glad that you made it.
AI.
Um, Sven Isaksson, myself, Theophilus van Rensburg Lindzter, sort of we host this particular program every Thursday evening, and I'll explain just a little bit more. But we do have guests, and I think we want to just introduce our guests here. I'm going to go down to Cape Town. And so that's Terence Martin there, way down in Cape Town. And that's Owen Index. And that's a lovely spot right there. Um, I've heard of the Three Musketeers. I don't know, what are we going to call the four of us? Owen, Hendricks, you want to test your sound and let us know that you are with us? Because if you're not with us, no, you're with us.
Can you hear me? Good evening.
Well, now we can hear you. Yes, sir.
Wonderful.
Thanks. That sounds really clear. You can hear us okay?
Loud and clear.
Oh, that's very, very good. Okay.
Sounds like you're right here in Cape Town.
I'll introduce the lot of you to each other very, very shortly. Terence Martin, an old foe, a new friend. I don't know.
Okay, just getting hooked up, yeah.
You getting hooked up? Yeah. What's that song, Owen? Hooked with a feeling, or what was it? Hooked up.
On a feeling.
Hooked on a
Yeah,
feeling.
hooked on a feeling.
Hooked on a feeling.
Yeah.
Hooked on a feeling.
Yeah.
Swedish #1 on Billboard.
Is it?
Yeah, it's Björn Skifs.
Is
He is #1 on Billboard. So he built his whole career in the 70s. Now he's older, but he's an actor. But he went to #1. The first one.
I had no idea. It's Hooked on a feeling.
Hooked on a
Swedish song?
feeling.
Yeah.
Hooga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is Han.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Hooga chaka,
Björn
hooga,
Skifs is
hooga,
like.
hooga chaka.
And it took him all the way to American #1 Billboard.
Wow.
And then he is a great singer, but it didn't do more. But just
Yeah.
the performance is just like, wow, historic, you know?
Yeah.
And then, of course, ABBA, whatever. But Björn has that song still.
Yes.
Sporting events, and now we're talking, connecting.
That's right.
You know,
Hooked on a feeling. So, Terry Martin, I'm going to just introduce you guys so you know. So, Terry, do you want to introduce yourself to Sven Isaksson?
Hi, Sven. I trust you can hear me well.
Yeah.
I hail from Cape Town, South Africa. And we have moved back to Cape Town after 35 years of living further north, about 1,600 kilometers north in Johannesburg. So it's good to be back. We've retired a couple of months ago, and now we're retreading for the next round.
Fantastic.
Good to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me add something that I've known Terry for 4 decades, 40 years.
Oh.
Yeah, at least you're 100 years old, man.
That makes me 100. Yeah. No discount for me today. All right. I got it. I get it. Owen, you want to introduce yourself to Sven, please, buddy?
It's good evening to you, Sven, from Cape Town. Yeah, I'm Owen Hendricks. I don't know what I'm doing with these guys. You know, somehow they just found me somewhere on the street. You know,
Yeah.
pulled me off. Yeah. Look, I've been in ministry for about 30 years, full-time ministry. I'm proud to say that we all graduated, the three of us from the same Bible college, and our paths crossed then. So that was more than 30 years ago. Yeah, look, all my kids are married. I have 4 kids, so they're all married with their own families. And my wife and I have been together by the grace of God 43 years this year. Yes, it's too long. But yeah, it's been good. Yeah, so I've had a nice run, both in ministry and in my years of being in the entertainment industry, like Theo, and I think that is what connects Theo and I in a great way. Yeah, we have something really in common here. With Terry, it's more the Bible exposition that brings us together. But yeah, that's the long and short of who I am. Right now, I'm on pension. Can you believe I'm on pension? Moving toward my mid-60s. And yeah, sitting in this little studio here of Fifth Connection.
Yeah.
They call me the radio station manager. I'm still trying to figure out what that one means.
Yeah, we'll I think the paycheck will reveal it.
All right, thank you for saying that. That's when. Yeah.
No
But
review.
Sven, Owen is got a really good voice. Is a great singer, and loves music. And just like we saw now, it was so easy for him to pull that song from his archives. So there was really good. So Sven, I mean, these guys don't know you, and I don't know if you want to keep it that way, but if you want to introduce yourself.
Same way. I bumped into Theo on the street in outside a food market, and he was sitting there, and I was like, he stopped me, and we were going to talk about music. I'm a big music fan, and we ended up here.
Yeah,
that's it, you know.
Yeah.
And I have 2 kids myself, and very interested in international culture and different things, and horses and stories and business and education and this and that, you know.
Yes.
But we connected in that way.
Yeah, that's a fascinating story because September this year we'll celebrate our anniversary, our first year, and I set up a podcast at a flea market, and I just called people over, and Sven was one of them. He was there with his whole family. And so the consequence is that we are sitting here together on a project. And this particular project, for those of you who have just tuned in, is deeply concerned with promoting the work that we do for young people in South Africa, specifically young people who live in rural communities. And this effort that we are engaging here in Stockholm is to do 2 things: is to promote what we do for vocational training in agriculture for young people in high stakes communities in South Africa, to promote it. But secondly, also to get people to find ways to support what we do. It doesn't always have to be money. It can be something in kind. What Sven, for instance, does for us here is incredible, providing a space where we can actually promote the work that we do in South Africa. That in itself is an enormous gift. And so that's the motive for why we are here. Music that you will hear during this show is concerned with the giftedness and abilities of a man called André de Lang. In fact, the 3 of us normally sit on the same panel and we discuss issues relevant to agriculture. There are always a couple of things that we do.
And then observations and follow-up projects, and a deep joy in music and culture and talent in general, or life perspective. And as we're in the middle of Stockholm, it's an open forum, you know. And through my involvement, we're producing the podcast and the filming and so forth, I found a lot of people appreciate or taking an interest instead of just business. No, it's like, wow, it's a big curiosity. So it's a cool mix. You have the South African area, you have agriculture, and it's a theme that involves so much in real, the love of food, and we're all dependent on that too, you know.
Absolutely.
And so we bring the industry, we bring health, and we bring culture and music, and then a joyful way of life.
Absolutely. And I think that's really why the synergy is so beautiful, because it's diverse. And as Sven mentioned, the interaction, and I think those little snippets of life, we call it wisdom. We say we give news, we give a little bit of education, and of course then there's music, but always a little bit of wisdom. Terence spent some time here in Sweden 20 years ago, Terry? 23 years ago. Yeah. Well, what's your fondest memory of Stockholm?
Well, being in a tube,
Yes, the underground.
Everybody's sitting dead quiet. I mean, Swedish people are so quiet and so calm.
Yeah.
And Theo's the only one on the train that's cracking jokes.
Ah.
It was quite an experience in the sound of silence.
As a captive audience, you took your chance, Theo, and you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terry, are you still with us? Maybe we've lost Terry a little bit there. But he's right. I was probably the only one sort of loud or cracking up there. But Owen, your next trip. Sorry, are you back, Terry?
Yep, there you go.
Are you back, sir?
Yep, I am.
Yeah. So you were saying I was the only one cracking jokes. Is that true?
That's right. And we were the only two who were laughing on that morning. The rest were kind of looking at us as, where are you guys from?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, a lot has changed since then. I don't think the quietness, I think it's gone even more quiet because right now on a train, if you walk, and I've actually tested this in a single carriage, you have about 80 to 100 people.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 out of them would have a book or do something else.
Yeah.
Everybody else
That's
is
it.
on a mobile phone.
So they're all tuned into their own world.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So young people at a certain time in the day, it could be noisy, right? But generally, I think it's gone even more quiet, I would venture to say. You are with us here in Stockholm, and we are talking about agriculture. And tonight's subject, as you can see there, is sort of de-risking our future through investment in a learning and earning vocational training model. And so what's that all about? It sounds like a lot of big words, but they're not meaninglessly put there. There's a method, as they say, in the sort of madness. Let me just explain a little bit, and I would really, we'll get to some questions here, but just to introduce the subject, let me explain here this, our concept of training, and Terry was with me when we initiated this project way back in 2019. And we were explaining that, it's this heart thing, this value thing, this wisdom thing must drive everything. So at the heart, it's that pursuit for right living, right thinking, right living, and right choices. The reality of the South African context meant that we needed to create work for young people, strengthen their ability to go into the workplace. So that what you see on the screen there is really the model that influenced the vocational training approach in South Africa. And so what we want to be thinking about this evening is how sure are you that the people will have the ability to pull it off, to sort of be part of this particular project. We talked a little bit about this question before, but I wanted the South Africans to think with us on this one this time. But let me just backtrack a little bit on why is it that we are thinking about a different way of preparing young people. Why is that an issue? Well, it is an issue because I'll be just bringing up a video here for us to watch together. And let me just stop it here first and close that guy over there. So what you'll see now is a video clip of Agritech 2023. This is last year. And so Agritech is a horticulture event every single year in June, and you have a lot of big names and big companies that works in agriculture that gathers at this particular event. And so while you look at this video, I'll talk on the other end, but what you will see is a lot of technology. And so let me just play that and get our feedback on the other end.
Well, a warm welcome to you all. We have a lot of demos on drones and also on robotization.
Yeah.
So there's lots to see.
Yeah.
So also in this new exhibition hall, we have the technology stage, where a lot of knowledge sharing is being done.
Well, that's where we're going to be this year as well. So, we'll be at Agritech this year too. And we will be, we have a stand there as a Learning Academy Worldwide, that is Learning Academy Worldwide, South African nonprofit company that basically manages the training for these young people. And so what is interesting here is, so let me just ask you, Terry and Owen, what were your first impressions of that little video clip? The sound was okay? You could...
It was perfect, Theo.
Yeah.
It was good. Yeah, video quality was good as well as the sound quality. Perfect. Yeah. Absolutely.
Any observations?
Oh, just the snippets that were flashed up are very captivating. Subject, you have the drone technology in there. You've got the use of technology in agriculture. All very captivating kind of current issues internationally, and we would love to see a lot of that in South Africa.
Yeah, I like the multi-pronged approach there with the academy. It speaks to many different domains and peoples in terms of not empowering but equipping through technology that is available as a resource to, I think, improve quality in those spheres of life. So it looks very, very interesting. It's very interesting. I must admit. Yeah.
So the ability to pull off the kind of demands in a given society that we often think about the capacity of the people. Can the people pull it off?
Locally.
And so, young people, in our view, this is the target that we have. This demographic is what we are reaching out for. We think young people have the right now they have the opportunity. They also have the reason because of certain problems. We'll look a little bit on that later. But generally, there is a issue when we look at all of this technology. We think that in order for the technology or the innovation in that technology to truly get to its optimal use, you need people. And so there's a lot of money at the moment going into agricultural technology, loads of investment that's going into it. Some of it is, there's been some real big failures in the US, particularly, of companies that have really, really struggled. And there are many reasons, but I think that human capital, investing in people's training, is a crucial way to de-risk and make sure that the investment that you make within your innovation is protected. Now, Sven, of all the many hats that you wear, you're also an investor.
Yeah.
Right? What do you look at? What's key for you before you explore or launch into an investment opportunity?
Yeah, you survey the market, but you basically want to be in a positive trend. You want to be in a growing field or an industry where things are not in decline, or so to say. You know what I mean? Finding opportunities in a thematics.
Right.
What's a good theme that stands for something positive, where there's a lot of new ideas that basically can provide a solution or more effective and positive ways of helping people for whatever interest there is,
So
you want to be
people-oriented.
Yeah, you want to be in a positive theme, but then from there on, like you say, there could be millions of different technologies or something, but you go pretty fast to people, so to say, that are serious, that then you trust. You have to have a personal kind of relationship along the way that is not just for the moment. You want to have something that could last a little longer with a longer vision. Sometimes in business or whatever, or in sports or in life, we're short-sighted, and you want to return fast, and people change for careers or whatever. You want something that can sustain over time, so you can have peaks and valleys, expectations in a longer set, and then along that way, so you're in the right theme, and you find kind of the balance. This is where I want to be, and you may not just want to focus on one thing. You be involved in different, we call it, like, you create some baskets instead of just putting, this is what it's going to be, and I bet everything on that. And then you run the danger of maybe taking a risk, and then you're out. You don't want to go all in and out. You want to have something along the way you can adjust, so I guess that, and we have many big themes, like you say, food, water is a big one, and then you can go back to climate, or you can go back to different industries, all the way to AI, robotics, and now cars flying in the air. But you know what I mean, you can never stop the development, but just by agriculture, it's like people need food, and we have a big problem. Healthy food too, and you don't want the big corporations that are run by just economics to create negative effects for the people with obesity or whatever. Then it ends up in the society and in hospitals or whatever.
That's right.
So
this point of this long-term view.
Long-term view for sure.
This is important.
It is long-term view, and the people behind it, and then and expertise and the dialogue, and maybe you want to be not just one thing, but you want to be in not just put all your bet in one thing,
No,
but you want to have continuity. And what you say by people in training is also, you just don't want, sometimes we in culture celebrate one person that are one person. No, it's a team. Everything is a team, whoever front is, where you want good people all around the organization,
Right.
That's also important.
I'm writing team down because
that's what we're talking about.
Right.
It should be so simple, so everybody
And
kind of
finding the right
explains
people.
it,
Sniping.
Yeah.
Terry, how does that sound to your ear, especially this issue of finding the right people? How crucial is that? When we think about this particular question, is like, how sure are you that the people have the ability to pull off projects within their communities? Do they have what it takes, and how are we thinking through this as we secure or attempt to find investors in to support what we do? Are there some insights that sort of, or questions or reflections from you on that?
Well, I think one has to snipe for those authentic connections. And by authentic connection, I mean the right skill set, the correct skill set that you'd like to connect with, which skill sets that are resident in people. Right? Because you may not have the time nor the wherewithal to develop that in them. You'd love to kind of find them ready-made. And yet all those who have it down are deeply involved in different things, right? So it's a tough one, but I like the idea of sniping for the right team, which means we need to take time to understand what we're looking for and who we're looking for, because the what and the who would go together. They would hang together. Because these will be the mistakes will be very costly. You invest in the wrong person or project, because projects have to do with people, and of course people that are married to particular tasks that need to be pulled off. There needs to be a suitable marriage between those two things, the who and the what. And as you observe that, as the who and the what connect in significant ways, you those are the kinds of people I think Sven made reference to. You want to draw the good people around you. That's how I would define good, by being able to see the what and the who that goes together.
Right.
Yep.
So strengthening people's giftedness or capacities is one way of doing that. Oh, and I know that for many years you've worked in communities, um, and would you agree with me that there is a temptation to look at what is wrong with people or what is wrong in the community, as a first step, and not snipe for people, but try and find out what the problems are. And of course, we need to know what the problems are. But is it your sense as well that Sven and myself discussed this a couple of weeks ago? We think there's just this unhealthy focus sometimes on what is wrong in this community and how can we fix that. Has that been your experience as well, in a way?
Yeah, on numerous occasions. And that seems to be a challenge. I don't think it's just here, through what I've experienced over the many years. Not only in the spiritual domain, but I've also worked with community organizations where played a very important role within those community-based organizations.
Yes.
And rightly you say so, that it's easy to focus on those negatives and what is wrong, instead of finding a solution, and being a part of the solution. We sometimes, and I'm saying we tend to add to the problem by focusing on the problem. And there are so many, I think there's so many positives that can turn the community, can transform that community. I think many folk are hung up on the past, what was not done, what they were less privileged to be a part of, during their tenure of growing up or involvement, in certain areas of community development. And yeah, let's face it. Sometimes, there's politicians play a large role within this. I think discouragement of many folk, and hence they, especially maybe I should say the marginalized folk group of folk people, they would tend to want to do that, focus on those negative things.
Yes.
So when somebody comes along, or an organization such as this, for example, and offers a solution and a way to bring about transformation and improve the quality of life by creating platforms such as this for people to be able to get themselves schooled within this, being productive, there tends to be a hesitance, a reluctance to want to do that because of past experiences. So speaking into this thing, I think it's absolutely critical that the right people are used to focus on the right thing, and with some practical experiences and real experiences to sort of show the people, look, this thing can work, it will work, with our involvement. Because at the end of the day, if I'm going to have an investor investing their resources within this project, it's going to have to work. I cannot, for the life of me, I cannot waste people's investment. So I need to make sure that that seed is sown into real fertile soil. And the soil is fertile. It's just we need to get the weeds out, and the weeds are all the negativities. We need to de-weed that.
We're laughing here because we had a long chat before we went live on negativities and the anger and
yeah, and it's a comfortable hole, that's what we were talking to, it's comfortable. It's like how you create a community, and it's just the same power of creating something good, but you can have the same feeling of creating something bad in extremism or whatever. So if you get around, you get the same connectivity, you get the same attention, but then in the end it feels good to do nothing because it's all bad. And it's like, and you don't have to change nothing because humans don't want to even change, so it's more comfortable of being negative, but then it affects people really bad along the way. It's like the hangover is big, you know, because it's like some people, like politicians, use it because you control the masses. You get reelected, they move on. It's a tactic. That's how it's been for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
But
not just in South Africa.
No, everywhere. And that's not, it's never been, more or less, that's the one. How do you get elected? You use that commonality of polarizing or whatever. But the problem here is just like, then if you want to do something good, you start convincing or pitching. In reality, you should just be in tenacity, repetition. This is what we're doing and this is good. Because you will spend half the time of explaining all the problems.
Yeah.
And maybe like in if we put it in a different context, like here you can get bombarded with problems and question about South Africa history or whatever. Same in China. Then China would get nothing done. But it's like, no, these issues are here. We are working on this, and this is the box I'm responsible for. Let's focus on this. You have to, like, tenacity and repetition on this is what we're doing. Celebrate and build momentum. All the other things has no. Like, it's so easy otherwise to get discouraged or whatever. So you have
to, when you look at this list, for instance.
Yeah. So then it's in everything that challenge. So overall, everything is, you have to be finding, like you say, the people that are willing to do the work in the right setting, and maybe forget about the rest, and don't even introduce these thinkings, because that will bring even the good guys down on a bad day. You know what I mean?
It does bring the good guys down. So
whatever you like in the Christianity or whatever, the power of the word, don't even think it, but don't even talk about it. It should be a discipline of not talking about what's bad if it's not on this specific project where you have a solution. So because it's dangerous, and it has such a power, and it spreads the disease fast, because then it's like, wow, it's easy not to do anything.
Right, that's right.
You know, even they in this good project gotta convince me. And people don't like to be pitched or convinced.
No,
it's just be boom, so
this negativity is really painful. And I can imagine with the communities, the point we are making here is, if you were tuned in, is that it's there. We know that there are issues with violence, and there's crime, and there's unemployment, and there are mental health issues, and this is nothing new. And I want to play a song by André that sort of addresses that little positive vibe, that I really think will help us take to the next slide. Jag hade inte dig upp så högt, så du pratade, sounded so soft, but I had a problem. I had you down, so you were actually speaking into my mic.
Yeah. Oh, it says music very low.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So let me just do this. that applies to all other key relationships, I would dare to say. We're getting our South African friends, Owen Hendricks and Terry Martin, that's joining us from two different spots in the Western Cape. One is a place called Gordon's Bay. That's a really lovely spot, actually. When we go down to South Africa, we'll take you there. Terry has now been there for a couple of months. He could probably do the tour guiding thing when we get down there. But then Owen Hendricks, he's not too far from the ocean. These are ocean people.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, they're ocean people. Sometimes he has to, in the mornings when you have breakfast, he has to remove the sand that's blown in from the beach onto his plate of breakfast. That's how close he is to the beach. Terence overlooks Falls Bay. That's that right, Terry? That's
Yep.
Falls, isn't it? Yeah. Lovely part of the world. Beautiful part of the world. They're not as beautiful as that part. No, they are. What is wrong is, we think, the wrong question. It does appease the notion of we need to look at the needs. We have to do a SWOT analysis or whatever we call that, right? But is this a different approach, and what is the value of this approach, Sven? If we just change the mindset, what is strong instead of what is wrong, what does that do?
Yeah, I mean, that's the key. I think it's the education and empower the people there, because it's not a solution, it's a tool. Education is a tool for these people to have an opportunity to do something active, and then it's create a new life or path in society and so forth. So I guess that's the thing. They have to embrace the training and the opportunities, and like we say, it's kind of entrepreneurial. It's not just a solution in that way. It's kind of crucial for food, and that sets a very, very important example. And if you do this in an organized way, the benefits and the group will learn from each other, so it will be excel that way, and it'd be a good example. So train the trainers and move on, so forth, and you see the results along the way, and change it depending on what happens, because you gotta train people to grow crops and create an agriculture business in the right way. But you have a resource. You're not doing it on your own. You have like a organization behind you, and that organization you are part of, and you can grow in that organization too, and you make an impact. You're not alone,
Right.
Yeah, but
that's a good sense to have, because
it is,
you are valued for what you bring.
Yeah.
This notion of what is wrong and what is strong has been part of our discussion previously. Owen, if I just, we were talking about investment earlier, and you were saying if I have to invest, I want to be sure about the investment. Is it so that we have not always looked at our communities as possessing so much that they themselves are investors? Is it so that we have overlooked that as a possibility? That sure, there are difficulties and there are problems, but did those difficulties in a way blind us to the investment capacity in our communities?
I think, in a sense, that you're spot on with that, there, Theo. And in saying that, what I want to get to is, I think people have not discovered the giftedness within themselves, the ability within themselves, the God-given deposit made in their lives, the innovation. I think somebody has to, if somebody can help them to identify those skill sets within themselves, it would, in a sense, encourage them, motivate them, and steer them in that direction, to start, that tapping into that untapped potential that lies within inside of them. Because when that creativity is found, discovered, I think it's endless opportunity after that, and then also to pass that on, because how do you create this whole not independence but interdependence with people, is when you help them to discover what is inside of them too. There might be somebody that does not look the part in a sense, but given the opportunity, where I've come across many of these folk, that we look at face value, this, and we say to ourselves, this person, doesn't look like they can have the ability to do this or that. But when given the opportunity, what's inside of them surfaces, and you find when they function optimally with the strength that is within them, and hence that strength now becomes a valuable asset to them, where they now become productive, industrious in what they do. And I think, when environment like that of positivity, instead of what is wrong and what is strong, there's a strength in everybody. There's a weakness in everybody. You were talking about the SWOT analysis. But I think, we as leaders within our communities should be able to tap into that within people and really, speak positively into their lives, because many of them are unschooled, especially in our communities that we have, that we are surrounded by. They're unschooled, through whatever reason, that it has caused them, maybe discouragement, I don't know, but the list goes on and on. It's endless. But to bring this positive energy to them, and to show them, it's possible for you to be able to rise above your circumstances, and let's discover the gift, the talent that's inside of you, and let's nurture that. Let's make sure that thing can emerge, because wow, I don't think that God has just created anybody with no reason or purpose, honestly.
That's true. If you've just tuned in, you listen to Owen Hendricks. He's sitting in an area called Strandfontein. This is in South Africa, in the Western Cape. Sven and myself, we are sitting in Stockholm in Sweden, some 10,500 kilometers away from him. There's another set of ears listening in about 40 kilometers maybe away from Strandfontein, and that's Terence Martin. And Terry, as you've listened to what Owen just highlighted, one of the questions, one of the things that really encouraged me or impressed me about what he just said is that, given the opportunity, there might be a spark that will ignite the sense of, there are certain things that I am good at. I can actually invest something here. Why do you think that could make a difference in sort of true community upliftment?
Well, I think there is something quite significant that's rising here in this dialogue, right? Because I think the through line that is coming out is we should view ourselves as together with the people we are serving as co-investors, because they bring something and we bring something. Our tendency in terms of the model that you've raised here, we tend to say, well, they bring the negative, they bring the wrong, and we bring the strong. But you see those two things as flowing together, because a leader needs to lead according to his strengths, and people, and he needs to recruit according to his weaknesses. So in a sense, he brings a lot of wrong himself. He may be oblivious to it. And so I think when we work amongst people to view it that way, we are co-investing in a future, right? If we are de-risking our future through investment, what are we doing? We are creating affordances. We are creating an affordance in our future. In other words, we're in the process of developing and getting a grip of a bargaining chip with the future. Because if we don't go in with this dual understanding that united we stand, united we fall, if there's not an understanding like that, then there are some serious flaws in our own thinking. And I think Sven mentioned that we are great at polarizing, because it's very easy to do and to get people, cheering, or get them onto the bandwagon, or when we polarize issues, right? But to see them that they are inextricably linked. I mean, the way you flip this around just on this slide already just tells you that there's a lot closer tie in between wrong and strong, because it's like yin and yang. Inside of order, there's a smidgen of disorder. There has to be. There's no such thing as perfect order, right? It is all tentative, all right? In the midst of chaos, there's a smidgen of order, and when that can be capitalized on, it's amazing how you're de-risking powers in order to bargain with the future is strengthened, whether it's political, whether it's agricultural, social, in any possible way. I think this polarization in our thinking is it's devastating, actually.
Destructive, you're right.
You're dead wrong and we are dead right.
Yeah.
Both are dead in a sense, right? They need to figure out where's the life on each side of that coin.
Yeah.
The wrong side and the strong side. So I love playing with it, because I think we tend to think like that. And Sven is quite right. The peril of the pendulum is an almighty illustration, in a sense, because it drives us either to take one side of the coin versus the other, instead of keeping both of these like this.
Yeah.
And at the point of tension, watching what does each bring to the table. We are co-investing in our futures. That's a word that just came to mind. I have not.
I like it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sven?
No, that's it. And in the end, you want to create like a culture. So there's like you bring hope, and you bring, what do we say, spirituality and everything, and then people want to take action. And if you can take action with something tangible, or you get trained in a system too, it's easy. In this program, you can actually do actual training, and we all need attention to our food and crops and nature, and it's a built-in good feeling. Like if you taste a strawberry or a banana, it's like you can attack every sense quite easy. It's not like you need a special, I need this car or this computer or this for this to work. No, it's food, and a common understanding of nutrition, movement. So you get physically activated. You have the hope. You can building people from the inside out, and they can take steps. And as we say, it has to be like an open forum. It's empowerment. It's not we are here with a solution for you. You are all this wrong. No, it's potential, and you bring the hope, but then you want to see what they can bring back. In this training.
That co-investor sort of synergy.
Yeah, because they create something. It's like we were talking, the power of doing something yourself that you're proud of, not like growing a plant. Like I've not been into it. This like with the horses. If I'm breeding or you're next to horses, become family. Now I'm home watering. We're doing chili plants, and you care for that. It's humanity. So you make it very tangible, and you train. So or even painting, artistry, music. It's a human power in those things.
I'm glad you brought up the word tangible. Now, you didn't see this next slide, right? So this is what is beautiful. Here's a tangible example of a community-based asset.
Yeah.
Right? So this is Lorraine Isso. Our first graduating class, Terry would know it. When we had, there's this bridging program for young people in Harlem, in the Western Cape, just outside of George, about 400 kilometers away from Cape Town, in what is called the Southern Cape. And at the first graduation class, you always have the keynote speaker. And so this is a person that is experienced, and they have walked the journey, and they probably have spoken at many keynote addresses before. They are renowned. They maybe even have their own website. We thought, no. Why? Like the Italians would say, perché? Perché no? Why not? Well, and then so we had asked, since there were so many women in the graduating class, we thought, who is the strongest woman in this community that can speak to these young people at their graduation after their first 18 months? And it was Lorraine Isaksson. And so she is for us the picture of this tangible strength in this community and boy, did she give a speech. Now, of course, she understood everything. She understands these young people. She knows which words to use. She knows how to communicate with them. And she knows all the trouble they get into. And so there's a YouTube video that speaks at Lorraine's brilliance as she, at this graduation, challenges these young people. Now, is that what you thought about? About a tangible example?
Yeah, everything should be homegrown, tangible. You support your own and let people grow without the limits. Is like a filter, So
right.
But I mean, that's a prime example. The resources. This is what we have to work with, and that's kind of the attitude you say. It's not we're coming with the right thing. This is wrong. No, this is the situation. From here on, how do we make this better? So it doesn't matter how bad. It's just put it down and then step by step and celebrate the little victories. It's just definition, And you have to be also careful. Like if you want to have an impact, they need to buy into that, because they know exactly. If you just fly somebody in or some expert, it's really. And you never get the buy-in, so you have to be smart. People are smart, they've been through it all, they live this. So who are you to come to tell us? No, it has to be local.
What I just realized is we'd never paid her. Now I think we did the wrong thing there. We should have.
She should have had a fee of a keynote, But I'm saying, but the idea is to.
I don't even think she would have accepted that, But it was rather she had felt that she needed to say something to the girls. She felt she wanted to say something to this class. She said something to me. She posed the challenge at me that we, as an organization, me in my capacity, that we don't stop doing this.
So maybe you pay her and she invested back, and you give her like a project or something.
And I think we are right there at the moment. In fact, she is one of the small-scale farmers in this community that will benefit from this direct investment, where they get some support, and what they do with that, if they show profitability, then they can share the profit with other students, with young people who maybe work on her little farm, and then that money get reinvested for. So she is, she's invested, and we can look at her now as a potential investment. What are your thoughts on Lorraine Isaksson there, Terry?
Oh, well, just so much. I think she stands as, a paragon in more ways than one of the power of an indigenous model. Sven, Thea and I always have had this commitment to not purely to import ideas and models and concepts purely because it comes from outside of our world, outside of the South African context, because we have suffered greatly because of purely importing things onto a foreign soil without thinking through the implications and the consequences of doing that. And so for us, we were very, very strong, right? Since 40 years ago when we started, we want to drive something from the ground up that has grown in the trenches, that's community-based, and that works from there. So what you said now, Sven, has great synergy with me, and I think with us, with both you and I, in the sense that it's local, of the soil. And who better understands local and soil than the people on the soil? So, yeah, it gets my systems running very wild, because if we see where the process is at this point, I mean, it's taken a long time to get here,
Yeah.
but it was worth the slog. You know, we nearly bombed out at certain points. You know, there were great losses along the way, some casualties too, but here we are. There's examples of what it takes, you know, to work with indigenous models, with local models, and to then get it to grow out and be recognized on an international scale.
That takes time.
International community.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Now, on that growth, I think we want to stop here, because I really want this conversation to take that next step on the issue of that growth model, because there are these two parts, and we talked about this before. There is the growth of something like a McDonald's, where the thing is scaled up. But there's also another kind of growth where there is this one special thing, and it grows by itself, but it cannot really be replicated. There's passion in. I almost think, I almost think that Lorraine's potatoes are like that. I think, so she, or her, the way that she does what she does now. The investors are always pestering them and asking and saying, if they ask for money, for instance, or they go to a bank and they ask for money, the question is always, can you show us how you will scale this up? And my sense is that we need to have a sensitivity to the both of these potential possibilities. And for some reason, well, maybe not for some, for money's reason, the scaled up McDonald's kind of idea has taken the front pages, while the beautiful Italian or Swedish little restaurant on the corner that is owned by just a family, and people go there for that experience, they've not gotten that investment. In fact, if we think of COVID, I think the restaurants that have passionate owners, they probably suffered more than the chains. Or yes, or
no,
not?
but it's two different causes. I think Italy is a prime example of that, where you want a local culture, like strong example that there's a life and a spirit, and you make it work if you have passion, and it's easy because it's something you believe in. Like, so you can have a local restaurant or a local business with history and craftsmanship and attention to detail and care, and you involve your family to make it work or whatever. If you have a scaled up model, it can be over before you even started.
Oh yeah.
So be careful what you wish for. And if you get a scaled up model, if you reach just the first step of growth, it's so much else you have to do that you miss on, and it can go too fast, and you need resources, and you need everything. Not everything is meant for that, and in the banking sector, you got a higher failure rate of that. What you need is a small business that is profitable.
Yes.
It's not the turnover. It's like, be unique. If you have a specialty, use it to promote your region and where you are. So people want those potatoes from her.
Yeah.
You don't want those potatoes over here or somewhere else.
Right.
It's like, if you're a winery, you want to have, you story tell. That what maybe you can add from there on is the storytelling and promotion and what's the extra value, so you can charge more. Just be profitable, and if you have it working, it's amazing, because the failure rate is in a business is 1 to 1,000 or 1 to 100. It's already hard. So for a bank or whatever to thinking expansion and franchise, that's longer down the road.
Absolutely.
And it's a more and more difficult model. It's just to work with the person to make it profitable, and it can sustain over some years.
Right.
Profitability is the one thing. Just profitability takes maybe 5 years, whatever. So you have to be attentive and nourish that baby business,
right?
And maybe you want to keep it that way.
Yes, that's right.
That's it. And profitability. That's it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Owen.
Hmm.
And from there on, like what is good, like Theo, with the outside world, it's just technology. Then how you tell the stories.
Yeah.
Maybe they just need help in that. They are the experts on everything what they want to do. So the resource for the community just be, hey, here's some ways to tell your story.
Right.
And they don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Help them with that.
Yeah.
To do the right photography, presentation,
Oh,
and
my
everything, so it
goodness.
looks good.
It's like you were in our conversation earlier, because I was speaking to Owen. Do you remember we were talking about, you know, this issue of communication?
Yeah.
Now Sven's framed that as telling the story, and I actually like that, because Terry, you like that too, I'm sure. We've been talking about this for a while now, and I think I should invite Sven into one of those conversations that we have. And so I think it is fair to say, Owen, that there are good opportunities where we can support the telling of the story of these communities. Would that be valuable, you think, and why?
Oh, I think yes. I think that'll be greatly appreciated. You know, when you look at a person like this lady, for example, you know, taking her story, and the passion that she does things with, and articulating that to an audience, a broader audience, you know, with her present, because it's her story, and only she can tell it the way she best knows how. It would be, I think, such a valuable investment in the lives of those who thought that they could not do it, but when they look at her and how she's done it, then man, I can do it too. And if I can do it, then surely there's someone else who can do exactly the same, and even better.
That's a beautiful, wonderful point.
Yeah,
it's a good point to close on. It's hard to stop the conversation. We've been going for a good 70 minutes. Doesn't feel like it. Terry, Martin, Owen Hendricks in Cape Town, thank you so very much for your time. Sven, it was a good conversation.
Yeah,
I
really enjoyed it. Really good conversation. Yeah,
meaningful one. Recorded for future generations. And the man singing in the background is from a generation, you know, when music was still music. And so this particular song, I'm Alive, is a really affirming, happy sense of gratitude that we need to have.
And there's such a need. People want these real stories. There's a captivating audience.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, so much is just but when you tell whatever, it's like it's all there. It's just tell it and get it out there and let people talk and share it, and that's what we can provide with. There's the need, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're waiting for that, you know.
Next chapter next Thursday. Owen and Terry, if you could please keep your schedules free for next Thursday, and we do a part 2 of this. And I did share that slide presentation with you so that we can continue from where we left off. Thank you very, very much for your time this evening. For those of you who listened in, we also stream this to VM Radio, so Volcani Mavericks Radio. So for those of folks who tuned in there, thank you very much for your time, and we trust that this was a meaningful dialogue for you. And as André sings here, we're not so sure what tomorrow brings.
Thank you, Theo, for having us.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Nice.
You take care. All of the best, guys. We'll
Thank you.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Good evening.
Bye.
Thank you.
Nice to meet. Yeah.
Sure.